Objects are one of the most common types that you will run into in JavaScript. In this video, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about objects in JavaScript. Now let's get into it. Welcome to Tech Illuminate Academy, the ultimate destination for learning how to build your dream applications and land your dream job. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest tutorials. So what I have open is my VS Code editor, and I've created two files, an index.html file and a script.js file. What I'm going to do is press Shift, exclamation point, and that would allow me to add my boilerplate code by pressing Tab. This comes built in to VS Code. So you press Shift, exclamation point, Tab. Then I'm going to connect my script file, type out script, press Enter, and then connect my script file to my HTML. Then I'm going to type console.log. And then I'm going to add hello in here. I'm going to open with live server. I'm going to check to see if my script tag is connected. Right click inspect, console, and there goes hello. So when it comes to objects in JavaScript are like containers that can store related pieces of information. For example, if I create a variable called name, and then I assign it my name in a string, then I create another variable named age, and then I assign it a number, 35, my age. I create another variable named enroll, and I assign it an array. And in an array, I'm going to store a string item, the name of the course this individual can be enrolled in. Next, I'm going to create another. Next, I'm going to create another variable called registered. And I'm going to send it to a Boolean named true. Now, what I've done is created 4 variables, and this bit of information is not related. So in order to relate this information, I'm going to create an object and store this information in an object. So in order to create an object, first I would type out the let keyword, and then I'm going to name my object student, because that's what I'm going to call this bit of information that's going to be related, student. And then I'm going to use the equal sign, and then I'm going to use the opening, and then I'm going to type the opening and closing curly brace. And what I've done now is created an object. It's an empty object, but an object. And what I'm going to do is add these different bits of information as properties to this object. So I'm going to start typing out name, and then I'll type out name and then with a colon, and then I'm going to assign it a value of string. So what I've done is I've added a property called name, and I've assigned it a value of string. This property is called the key, and this is called the value. And together they're referred to as a key value pair. So I'm going to add the rest of the properties. Age, I'm going to assign it 35. And what you do when you assign it, you make sure you separate it with commas. Each property is separated with commas. Then I'm going to add the next bit of information, enrolled, and I'm going to assign it an array with this course. And I'm just going to copy this, then I'm going to change it to a colon. So basically what I've done is I've created an object with different properties of name, age, enrolled, and registered. When it comes to objects, they have what is called key value pairs, where you have a key with corresponding data that can be any number of types, like a string, number, array, or object. Um, so what I've done is created an object with different properties. And these properties are referred to as key value pairs, where each key represents a property of the object. And its corresponding value can be any data type, like a string, number, or even another object. Think of an object as a real world object like a car or a book, which has properties like color or author, and methods like drive or read. In a minute, I will demonstrate how to create methods, which are just functions inside of objects. But first, let me log this object to the console. So console.log. Then I'm going to pass this object. And then I'm going to open the live server. Right click, inspect, go to console. And then we can see our object with all the different properties that we've added. Now, say if we want to access the different properties of the object, how would we do that? Now, say if we wanted to access the different properties of the object, how would we go about doing that? First thing we would do is we would go about doing it. So the way we would go about accessing properties in the object would be through dot notation. The first thing you would do is type dot, and then type the name of the property that you want to access. For instance, if I wanted to access the name property, just type out the name property like that, and then go back, and then you see the name being logged to the console. Same thing if I wanted to access age, we can access that simply by typing out age, and we can access the number, which is a number type, which is the property 35. And if we wanted to access age, we could access age. Let's see if we access age. If we wanted to access, for instance, what courses this student is enrolled in, we can do that as well. See, we've been able to access what courses this individual's enrolled in with this array. And say if we wanted to check this in, if this individual was registered, we can access that Boolean and we see if it's true. Another way we can access properties within the object is through another method called bracket notation. So basically what we do is add a bracket and then type out in double quotes the name of the property we want to access. Same way, like if we wanted to access name, you could type that out, go back to the console, and you see name is being accessed. If we wanted to access age, type that out, go back to the console, see age is being accessed. Now this method, I do not recommend you do this. The standard is usually dot notation. The only time I would recommend that you do this is if you were to pass a variable into here that has the name of the property you're trying to access. For instance, if we had let property and we assign this variable name, and then we pass this in here, go back to the console, we are able to access the name from the object. But other than that, you should stick to dot notation. It's much easier to reason about. You don't have to deal with issues when it comes to misspelling strings and things of that nature. Now, when it comes to objects, you can also create functions within objects, which are called methods. And the reason why they're called methods is because they're created within objects. So for instance, if I wanted to add a function to this object, I could do it in one of two ways. The first way, instance, we're going to create a function that says hello, that logs hello to the console. So we're going to call this say hello. So we're going to create a property, say hello, and then we're going to add a function to it using the function keyword. We're not going to name it, so it's going to be an anonymous function. Then have the parentheses, opening and closing curly braces, and then we'll add console.log. And we'll just log hello, a simple hello. There it is. And then what I'm going to do is access this method through the same way we access the property, because the function is really just a variable in JavaScript. So we're accessing it by just simply typing out the name of the method and then invoking the function. I'll go back to the console. See that we've been able to invoke the function hello. Another thing we can do with objects is we can store objects within objects. So say, for instance, if I had a user object, right, and I had bits of information about that user, I would type out user, sign in object, and say if I had the name, and we'll use a generic name like John, then I had address, then I wanted to assign this an object, and then I had city, code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just making that up. And then street, put 500 PO box, just to demonstrate for demonstration. So then I would pass this in here and say if I wanted to access address, right? Address is a key property that is assigned a value of an object. So if I open with live server, go back to my browser, put up the object, and I can see all the different properties within address. But say if I wanted to just access a particular property within the address object, like city, I could just simply use the same process, dot notation, and then type out city. And I'll be able to see the city. Same thing if I wanted to see the state. And zip code as well. So now you're probably thinking like, how do I figure this out when it comes to accessing different properties? So just all you got to do is think about, what do you want to access? So you have a user object, right? And then you also have properties within that object like name and address. Name is assigned a string, address is assigned an object, and you want to access different properties within address. So you type out user.address dot whatever property that you want to access. So you basically have to think about what you want to access. It'll be user.address.city. And then you can also put objects within arrays. So if I wanted to have another property, and then say if I put like hobbies, for instance, and then I put an object in there, and then I put say if I put hobbies, and then I put swimming, hiking, right? I can access this using dot notation by user dot hobbies, and then think about what I want to access. Since I'm on the property hobbies, and I want to access maybe the first item within that hobbies array. So I'll put in 0. And remember, with arrays, you start counting with 0 for the first item, 1 for the second, 2, so on and so forth. Save. If I go back, I'm able to access the item within there. And also, if I wanted to add like maybe an object in here and some type of maybe property, let's just put a bool like is logged, just for an example, type true. And then I can access that at 0, 1, 2, 2, and then access is logged on that. So basically what I'm doing is I have a user, and then I want to access hobbies, and then I want to access is logged. I have hobbies array, and then I want to access is logged within the hobbies array. So that would be 0, 1, 2, and then next 2, and then access that property that is logged. If I go back to the console, we see is log bool true. And that's pretty much it for objects. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next video.